you're an illustrious person now, Stephan. I mean, it's official.
Thank you.
You're in.
I've never been called illustrious.
Well, maybe only for today, but the rest is up to you, right? But you have to feel good about this, though. I mean,
yeah, it is. It is a huge honor, and like I said, man, since the moment it came on, well, I didn't see it till '94, but I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, and I never dreamed that I'd be a part of it, and just making it on season 1 of Ultimate, I could have died happy then. You know, that was quite an honor. Wow, I'm part of the UFC for this reality show. This is crazy. I'll probably just get my ass kicked, but man, I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna make it entertaining.
Did it bother you that some people questioned your induction?
Well, I mean, it just. I mean, personally, I could give a damn, but there's just loads of negativity come with it. It's something you just don't want to look at, you know? You just kind of get sick of that, like, and you get sick of, like, looking on Twitter because tons of insults pour in. But, so, no, I'm just gonna, try to keep it positive and, think about, the UFC, the organization, and the fact that Dana, Lorenzo, Frank decided to put me in, and the least I could do is try to represent them well and be loyal and yeah, man, anything I could do to help this organization, I'd do it. Just like when they called me from retirement to fight Anderson, like, that was such an honor, that they chose me to do that. And so thankful for that. So
obviously, last night you said you found that quote and you said it was fitting and you had to look up omnipotent and all that, but were you last night thinking about this moment? And it sounds like you must have really been somewhat introspective if you were looking at quotes to find to sum up how you feel about the situation.
Yeah, because I remembered vaguely that quote. I think I'd seen it a long time ago, but I had it all wrong. And then when I read it, I was like, well, that's even a lot better than I thought like it was. Like, yeah, this is like a much better quote than the screwed up version I had in my head. So, but omnipotent, what's that again? Oh.
So you think you'll be remembered, though, for your persistence then? Is that the message you were trying to get across? Is that while you've had these highlights and, there's been some bumps in the road, the fact that you...
just know me. I'm honest with myself, and that's it. It's not like... I've been this all-star my whole life, and this great athlete and whatnot. No, I was just really like back to the Pee-wee wrestling days. I wasn't that good. I was kind of big and a late bloomer, so I was like white with baby fat, and mostly wrestling these like Mexicans with like hair on their chests and veins coming out everywhere, and whipping my ass. But like, man, no one ever pinned me. I'd bridge off my back for the whole match, and later people would be like, why didn't you just get pinned? You look like you were in pain out there. You fought that whole time off your back. And it's just, I don't know. That's just kind of, I don't have any quit in me. And yeah, I remember what was it like? I was probably like 14, 15, the Taekwondo. No, I think it was like, 15, Taekwondo national tournament, or no, state tournament, Indiana. And the guy who went on to win nationals, I fought him, and man, he crushed me with a spinning back kick. And just like with Anderson, I curled up fetal, was just trying to breathe so hard, and I could have just let him stop that fight, but I made a point to get back up and finish that fight. And same thing, fast forward to 2001 Golden Gloves boxing tournament. It was the semifinals round. And this guy, man, he hit me with the nastiest overhand right and just creamed me. And that's why I was like, whoa, I was on the ground thinking, whoa, this is what it means to get your bell rung. Because I actually felt like I was like on the inside of a bell, and the big giant bell just got dung. And that's how it felt. I was like, boing, trying to get my wits about me, but like 7, 8, back on one knee, back up, and I'm ready to fight. And I went back out and I kicked his ass, and the next week was the finals. I ended up winning the finals there. But yeah, same thing there. I mean, I had the choice there. I was hurt, obviously. All I had to do is stay down 2 more seconds and the fight would have been over. But just you know, that quit isn't in me. And you know, same thing, all my MMA fights, you know, all of the boxing matches I had after that too. In 2004, I did the Nationals tournament, and yeah, same thing, man. I went out there outclassed. You know, I had like a dozen fights. Most of the guys at Nationals have 50 to 100, and like the first fight, I drew the New York champ, and he was ranked like 5th, and man, he beat my ass the first round, and yeah, I thought about that too. I thought about quitting, and then I felt his midway through the second round, it became easier to eat his punches. They didn't hurt as bad, and that just motivated me. And of course, I ended up taking him to the well and knocking him out in the third, and fought the very next day. I had the exact same type of fight, and took that guy out in the third after getting my ass kicked the first half of the fight, and then the next day, the same thing. And I was so sore and beat up that day. I was content with losing a competitive decision. Like, I was tying the guy up, running around, but I just kept thinking to myself, boy, if I win tonight, tomorrow I'll just have to fight an even tougher guy. Like, I'm so beat up, and so that's what I meant by it. I just yeah, there's something to be said for that quote from Calvin Coolidge about, yeah, the you know, nothing more common than unsuccessful genius or the people blessed with talent, but really it's the persistence that pays, and really, like, I got this far. I'm in the Hall of Fame now, and I had that fight with Forrest that drew in millions of people to watch it and become lifetime fans, and it wasn't they were in awe of my athleticism. They were inspired by the persistence that we both showed that night.
Why do you think that fight still resonates so much, Stephan, with the fans?
You know, I think part of it was it had a really feel-good ending. You know, they saw two guys just give it all, and their bloody messes, and fight with every last ounce of energy they had. And then afterwards, Dana came in and offered both of them contracts. We're kind of both goofy and funny, and you're sitting at home and you can't help but just smile and feel good afterwards. And I mean, I think that feel-good moment, just as much as the fight itself, is what won people over as fans.
Is it the ultimate sign of respect that you named your son Griffin? Is that correct?
Yeah, Griffin Bonnar.
Is it after Forrest?
It's so no, not after Forrest. It's like the BC H.E.A.T line of MMA. Everyone was like, oh, wait, was that before the Griffin Bonnar or after the Griffin? It's kind of like a timeline. It's a part of history. I'm being inducted to the Hall of Fame because of that fight, and that's why it is. Plus, you know, I'm Irish. It's a cute Irish name. I love Family Guy. But yeah, Griffin Bonnar's got a good ring to it. It's unique. But yeah, it's not like, oh, it's after Forrest because I love Forrest. No, it was after that moment in history.
It's been a roller coaster since 153, since you got the call to today. So talk to us a little about the last few months of your life.
Like I said up there, it was about like peeling the layers of myself away to see what was left, and pretty much every layer had something to do with the UFC in it. So I needed to move on, you know. I feel like these guys have done so much for me, and it was so great to be part of this organization, done as much. You have the opportunity to do as much as I've done over the years with all the TV work and the merchandising and the fighting and competing, and yeah, it was time to kind of get a new identity, and it's really hard letting that go, you know. That becomes a part of you so much, and I know it's good and healthy for me to let that go, and then to find something new that I'm passionate about, and yeah, kind of a new way to support my family. It's really stressful when you know, paying the bills and supporting your family, you know, becomes relying on getting in the cage and fighting, you know, with especially all the injuries. It's another thing. I grew up in Taekwondo. They nicknamed me broken, because I was always broken. Even when I was like 2, I broke my leg. When I was like 5, I broke my arm. 7, I broke my tibia, my lower leg, and just I grew up and I was fragile. I wasn't athletic. I was slow and weak, and I broke all the time. So it's been like all this time trying to make myself stronger and more resilient. And the irony too, I just broke my wrist a few weeks ago. So, and two, when you're susceptible to injuries like that, that costs you money. You get hurt, you have surgery, you're out for a fight, and that's happened to me a lot over my career. So yeah, just it's time to find a new way to make a buck without fighting, or just without relying on the UFC.
You touched upon Anderson Silva, and obviously you fought him. Can you tell us where you think he stands as the greatest of all time?
I like thinking of him as the Michael Jordan of the sport, you know? I mean, he is. Like, look at his past 16 UFC fights, and you see why.
Your speech today kind of encapsulated your whole career. How important was it for you to get that all out, to kind of close the chapter on this?
Yeah, I don't know. I just got up and wanted to speak from my heart and kind of reveal myself, and this is who I am, and let you know, the UFC, just how thankful I am to have been a part of this for all these years.
Through the course of your career, what was the most satisfying victory?
Gosh, you know what? It's like every time you win, it's such a great feeling. It's such a high, and really, like what I look forward to more than anything. A lot of people think about how they're going to win the fight. They visualize how they're knocking the guy out, or they visualize getting their hand raised, and all those things. I always visualized talking to Joe Rogan after the fight, because when you're sitting there and the fight's done and it's all over and Joe Rogan's next to you with a microphone, then you know you did something good. And just to visualize that before a fight is what really made me feel good. And then everything would come to me, and like, oh, everything I wanted to say, and oh, I have these words I have to get out, but I have to win the fight in order to get those words out. That's really, that's one of the best feelings, the best feelings ever, talking to Joe Rogan after a fight. You're just in heaven.
Following up on the criticism, what's your opinion on, or how did it make you feel when Dana and especially Forrest talk about and support you kind of on your induction in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, I mean, I hope so. Dana's the one who decided to put me in it. So it makes me happy.
How about Forrest, though? Who's you're going to be always linked to for that fight?
Yeah, like I said, if I could pick anyone to have had that fight with and lose to, it'd be Forrest. He's a great guy, man, and I've always felt that way. I've always gotten along with him. I've always liked him as a person, and really, it couldn't have worked out any better.
Looking back on your career, do you have any regrets or things that you'd like to do differently?
Looking back on my life, yeah, I mean, you can't go back and change anything, but I guess the important thing is like trying to learn life lessons and move forward. And I think back to, you know, all my screw ups over the years, before the UFC, and usually like you learn a lesson. You know, you did something, you've messed up, and you're sitting in the
Police department?
You're sitting in the jail cell for the night, and you got time to think, and those nights kind of to make you, you know, you think what you did and think how you're going to be a better person after that. And that's change, you know.
Starting out when the sport was still young and working your way up through the ranks and through the UFC as you did, what advice and tips do you have for young fighters to get into the UFC Hall of Fame?
Honestly, just have fun with it. Like, people who say, yeah, I quit my job, I'm doing this full time. Like, no, you can only do it for so long anyway. It's like, no matter what, no matter if you're like the most successful fighter out there, you need a backup plan. You need something else to do after the cage. So yeah, let me not hear that. You know, you're doing this full time. Like, you gotta have something else going on. Like by all means, you're just going to lead to disappointment. And only a handful of guys make that kind of money where they're set, like Anderson Silva, maybe GSP, where they're set the rest of their lives, you know. And yeah, 99% of the fighters out there, they're someday going to get old, someday going to have to retire, and someday going to have to do something else with their life. So, like, find out what that is while you're young, while you're still fighting. Like, I knew myself as I was always like drawn to doing TV work, you know. It's been on my bucket list. It's like doing broadcasting, you know. And and I got a chance to do that through the UFC. But like, why didn't I go to school for that? You know, like looking back on it, like I was always passionate about it, and like now it's been you know, day trading, doing the stock market, and that's finally like I discovered something else that I'm really passionate about, and I could sit and spend hours doing and get rewarded from with income, and it's been really satisfying, and I'm glad to have found that. And that's what this last year of just coming to grips with retirement and finding a life outside the UFC has kind of forced me into. Got to thank my old manager, Dean Albright, who got me involved in this day trade, and just been on a crash course this year doing it, and learned lessons the hard way, just like in every other part of life. And I've been in some pretty bad situations that when the market had that 1 month straight upward run in May, I was caught on the wrong side of it, and like she was really close to getting my account liquidated on numerous occasions. But yeah, I made it through that, and I made it through the roughest time, and probably the way Dean described it to me is like, that's an anomaly. It almost never happens, like an upward run of that caliber. And I feel like, hey, I made it through that. That's like my boot camp, you know. And since then, it's been really good.
You touched on it a bit before about broadcasting and such. You did some commentating for the WEC. It seemed to be pretty well received. Do you think there's any chance that we see you do commentating again?
I hope so. That's really, like, as much as I love doing the broadcasts and the pre and post shows, or the ESPN style where you're sitting at a desk, nothing beats calling a fight. When you just sit, because I'm a big fan more than anything, and we're sitting front row cage side, you got the best seat in the house, and you just get to call to action and watch, and like, that just happens naturally for me. Like, I watch a fight, and it's like, I feel like I see beyond what's just happening in there. I see the little subtleties, what the guy's thinking, of something affected him, and just being able to share that with an audience is, man, wow, what a blessing that was. Just again, to see the opportunity once again to do that, to call those WEC fights, was, yeah, one of the greatest times of my life. And just thank you, Dana and Renzo, UFC, for once again, like, giving me some great experiences.
Can you describe the evolution of these young crop of fighters that we're seeing in comparison to vets like yourself?
Well, and now the sport's blown up, so you got a lot more guys who are just great athletes getting involved, and also the sport's evolved that you got a lot more gyms across the country. Like, I think back to when I grew up, my God, if there was an MMA gym around, like, holy crap. But no, I had to go like 3 towns over to find a Taekwondo school in Cherville, Indiana for Munster, and a couple towns over to Lansing, Illinois to find a little wrestling program. And that's all they had to offer. And I mean, I did those through high school. Nowadays, you know, you get these gyms, like, look at Vegas alone. You got Coutures and Vanderleys and like One Kicks, and like, you got all these gyms that all under one roof. You could just learn it all. You got great coaches and great guys to train with under one roof. So just the numbers of people getting involved in the sport is so much greater. And from those numbers, you got these really high-level athletes getting involved from all these different states, going to, you know, all these schools, and just that's the growth of the sport. And that was the biggest difference. As I was still in at a time before. It was so swamped with these elite level athletes like you see today.
So with The Ultimate Fighter, you helped put Spike on the map. Let's say they called you to commentate on that other league, Bellator, that's working over on Spike. Would you do it?
Yeah, no. I really love Spike TV for all the opportunities they've given me over the years, and it was great working for them. But you know, I'm always going to be loyal to the UFC, and unless it's a UFC fight, the only shows I'm calling are going to be smaller, more insignificant ones that wouldn't piss Dane off for calling them.
You've pretty much consistently been in exciting fights throughout your career, and you said after a second fight with Sosinski that you spilled pints and pints of blood for the fans. First off, how much blood do you think you have spilled for the fans in the cage? And secondly, what is it about your style that you bring that is always so exciting?
Well, that's it. That's how you know, like when I was talking about my boxing matches, I always know that's how I have to win. you know, I'm not going to just go out there and Mike Tyson or Chuck Liddell knock people out with one punch. I'm not just an explosive type of guy like that. I got to take people to the well. I got to, you know, take everything they have to offer and then just jump all over them when they try to breathe. And I knew that back 10 years ago, that was my strength, and that was going to be my best bet to be successful in there. And that also helps make for really action-packed fights, because I don't like giving the guy any chance to get set or any opportunity to get comfortable in there. Like with Anderson, I mean, he landed a great shot and took me out, but up until then, I thought my game plan was working good, and it was that, to not let him get set, not let him get comfortable, and, you know, get his, Chael likes to call it the voodoo, or no, Medusa, yeah, because he gets all like this and guys turn to stone, freeze up. Like, he didn't want that happening, so you got to get on him, get off your punches, get to the clinch, and yeah, just staying busy like that and taking guys to the well makes for exciting fights.
What do you think of guys who do a lot of trash talking and, you know, showmanship to sell their fights? To get a shot at the title fight?
I understand. I really like that aspect of pro wrestling, how it's the fights are fixed, but all the trash talk and build up and hype and like that gets the fans so excited and gets people tuning in. So I mean, when your goal is to sell as many pay-per-views as possible, then by all means, like, we should have like courses on trash talk and encourage the guys to do it. No, seriously, like Chael versus Anderson Silva 2, that was, I think, the best-selling fight of all time. And why was it the best-selling fight? Because of Chael's mouth. No other reason, because Chael run his mouth like that. And I mean, he just took trash talking to another level. And you do that, you get the biggest selling pay-per-view fight of all time, you're going to be rewarded. So, I mean, I know all of Brazil hates Chael for his trash talking, but his bank account isn't too hurt.
Last question.
As a fan, who are some of your favorites that you like to watch?
Oh boy, I've always been a fan of H.E.A.T, you know, ever since I fought him in Manaus, Brazil. I knew nothing about him there, and I remember during the fight being like, wow, this guy reminds me of Bruce Lee. Nice shirt, by the way. So, yeah, a big H.E.A.T fan. And Anderson Silva, like, he's just like I said, Michael Jordan. Like, how could you not like him? Like, a guy that talented. Those guys really stand out. But, geez, who else? I love tough, gritty fight. I like Big Country. Just, you know, got a big beer belly, and he still manages to win most of his fights. Let's see, who else? Who else do I really like the way they fight? Oh, Ross Pearson lately. I've been watching him, and I like that. Like, the guy gets hit with punches and just, like, smiles, bites down, keeps moving forward. You know, you like seeing that in a fighter. So, yeah, and that's really one of the easiest ways to get to someone is to eat their best punches and just get right back in their face. And like, what? Oh my God! Like, what am I gonna do? I hit this guy with everything I got, and he just keeps coming. Those kind of fighters really inspire me.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Congrats. Good to see you. Thanks.